Hi, this is John with Apollo Sprayers. Today we're going to be talking about the features and benefits of the PRECISION-5. So let's get started. Okay, the first feature that we're going to talk about today is the digital built-in hour meter. This is designed so that you can track the maintenance on your filters, which is really important. It's the only maintenance that you can do on the turbine system, so make sure you do it regularly. And to make sure you keep track of that, we've built in an hour meter. So we turn the machine on, and it'll go through its little boot up process first. And then once we get to the final boot process, the next message is the hour meter. And this is a brand new machine, so it has 0 hours on it. But if you had the pressure control in a different position, you just rotate it all the way to the left position where it says hour meter, and that gives you your hours. And it tracks your hours in 1/10 of an hour. So now we're going to talk about how to set the pressure on the PRECISION-5. This has a digital pressure meter on it, and it's accurate to 1/10 of the PSI. So it's real easy to set. You do need to have the spray gun connected. So take your spray gun and make sure that's well connected. And then we just rotate the dial. And depending on what pressure you have or you need on the material, you just keep rotating the dial around until you get the pressure where you want it. So I'm going to set it for 4 psi. PSI. So when I pull the trigger, the machine will ramp up and continue to give me 4 psi, and then when I release the trigger, it'll go down to 4 psi again. So it'll always stay at 4 psi whether I'm pulling or releasing the trigger. Now if I want to set the higher pressure, the best way to set the max pressure is not to just turn it all the way up to the maximum pressure. It's actually to sit and hold the spray gun open so that the air is flowing through the spray gun, and then I can turn the machine up until I get the maximum pressure with the gun open. So once you find your max pressure with the gun open, in this case it's 6.3 psi, there's no point in turning the machine up all the way anymore because it's not going to give me any more spraying pressure. And it's the spraying pressure that makes the difference. So in this case, 6.3 psi. So now when I release the trigger, instead of it spiking to 7 psi or more, it's only giving me 6.3. If I turn it all the way up, it'll give me more pressure. But when I pull the trigger, it's still not giving me more than 6.3 psi at all. So make sure you set the pressure and set the flow pressure when you're setting the max, and you'll always get the benefit of having a longer life out of your motor. The next feature we're going to talk about is the power pause feature. Now this is a very important feature, and one of the reasons that we're able to extend our warranty so much on the PRECISION-5 system because of this power pause feature. What this does is it senses the back pressure of the motor. So when you're pulling and releasing the trigger as you're normally spraying, the fluctuation of your pressure is going up and down. When the board doesn't see that fluctuation of pressure anymore and it just sees a flat line, it assumes that you've put the gun down, and it will look to start counting down 60 seconds until it puts it into what we call power pause mode. This power pause mode will actually reduce the pressure to about 2 psi and allows the motor to continually keep drawing in the cool ambient air from outside the case so that it can cool down the motor while you're not spraying. So let's show you how to do that and how to run the feature. So the first thing you're going to do is turn on the machine. And for demonstration purposes, we'll just keep the pressure down at 3.2 psi. So as I'm spraying, as you can see, as I pull and release the trigger, the pressure goes up and down, and that's what the board likes to see. So as soon as I stop releasing the trigger, the board will now start a countdown for 60 seconds, and after 60 seconds, it'll go into power pause. So prior to the 60 seconds, right at about 50 seconds, it's going to start beeping at me to warn me that if I don't want it to go into power pause, that I need to release the trigger or pull the trigger in order to stop it from going into power pause. So I'm going to demonstrate this feature here in just a second. You'll start hearing the beeping noise, and I've let go of the power of the trigger right now, So in order to stop it from going into power pause, you'll see all I need to do is just pull the trigger. So now it's beeping, all I need to do is pull the trigger, and it pulls it right out of power pause. So now let's assume that you went, if you didn't want it into power pause, that is. So now let's assume that you've got a phone call and you went away and you dropped it down and it dropped into power pause. And we're going to let it drop into power pause. We're going to put the gun down. So once the beeping starts, you have about 10 seconds. It'll beep 4 times and then 1 time solid, and then it'll go into power pause. So now you see the motor has throttled down, and it shows the power pause function in the window, so that you know that the machine is now in power pause. So this machine will stay like this now for 20 minutes. If you leave it in power pause for more than 20 minutes, it'll actually go into shutdown mode, which will actually shut the power off to the motor itself. So after about 20 minutes of power pause, the motor is completely cooled down and can be ready to shut off without a problem. If I now come back from my phone call and I want to just start the machine back up, all I do is pull the trigger 1 time and the pressure will jump right back to where I have it preset. And that's how the power pause feature works. Next, I want to talk about the heat dissipation for the PRECISION-5, because this machine is really unique in what it can do. Not only do we have dual automotive style filters on it, so you have what we call our quadriclean filtering system, so that's dual filters. Dual filters is really important for the turbine system. The back filter is what filters out the air going for the cooling of the motor, so you need to have the cooling of the motor really well filtered so you don't suck paint and dirt and everything into the motor. And the front filter is the one that goes out for the air that goes out to your spray gun, so obviously you need to have clean air going to your spray gun so that you don't have any contamination coming out in your air supply. On Apollo's systems, we not only put this automotive style pleated filter, which on the PRECISION-5 is also washable. So you can wash this out with mild soap and some warm water and let it dry thoroughly before you put it back in, but it can be just like the pre-filter. You can put that and wash that as well. So the pre-filter and the filter work together to filter out both larger and smaller particulates to make sure that the motor is kept clean inside. Very important for the life of the motor. Some of the other unique features of the PRECISION-5's case system is the size of the case. And when you compare that to other competitive models on the market, you'll notice that most of them are much smaller in size. The size of the case is very important because the motor inside is very powerful and it runs very hot. And we need to have the space there for the air that's coming in through your cooling filter. And as it goes out over the armature with that hot air, it needs to have a large space inside the box to be able to move around. And then what's really important is to have all of these cooling louvers here as well. So having these cooling louvers on both sides of the machine, the Apollo PRECISION-5 actually has 26 cooling louvers as compared to some of our competitors which have as little as only 6 for the same size motor, 5-stage motor. So it's very important that we exit that hot air out of the box as quickly as possible, and having 26 cooling louvers is an industry-leading standard.